Hey guys, Christian here. Today is February the 16th, 2015, and I'm going to talk about two dreams that I had, I'd say about almost 2 years ago. And I'm going to give them to you how I received them, and at the beginning of them, I had very, very little understanding of them, and then later you'll see what happens as I tell you the story, okay? So the first dream was just like this. I saw that I was standing on a black asphalt road, and there were no lines on the road. There was no middle divider or border lines either way. And I'm walking at night down this road. And for whatever reason, I stop walking, turn around, and as I turn around, I'm now facing the opposite direction, or east in this case. I can see the stars in the sky, and I see my siblings are following behind me, my brothers and sisters, and they are on tricycles or big wheels, children's toys. They're adult size, but they're on these toys. And I look up in the sky and I see a red fireball, about that big, flying through the air towards me, and I immediately know that this is the thing that I've been waiting for from God. That's the red ball is the Powerball. I know that because I have been to the Powerball website many times, and I have seen that logo. Right, their logo is a red ball. Anyway, so immediately in the dream, I know this is the thing I've been waiting for, and it's coming right at me. And so I put my hand up in the air to catch it, and just before that red fireball comes and hits my hand so I can catch it, I realize that it's going to burn my hand. And so I yank my hand back really quick and close my eyes. Then I realize what I've just done. I pulled my hand back, and now I am going to miss this thing that God has been sending to me, and something that I've been waiting for a very long time for. So I opened my eyes and turned and looked to see where it went, and I see nothing. I don't see a trail of fire. I don't see light. I don't see sparks. I don't see anything. There's nothing down there. And so I turn and tell everyone, help me look for it, and I start heading back the direction that I had originally started in the dream, where I was going west. And so I run up ahead and I start looking off on the left-hand side of the road through the bushes, looking, not bushes, but like tall grass, looking to see if this ball can be found, right? And so as I'm looking through, I start working my way back to where I was, and I don't find anything, and then I see a hand, like this much of a hand from this point up. He picks something up and says, "Is this it?" And it's a smaller ball, and it's yellow. And I don't understand it. I grab it, but I'm like, I don't know. That's the end of that first dream. The only thing when I woke up that I understood about that dream was that was the thing that I was waiting for. God had sent it. Anything that was falling from the sky, right, it comes from God. And this is that promise that He had sent me, but I had just missed it. I had no idea what it was, but it did scare me a bit, because what did I do wrong, right? So I prayed about it that morning when I woke up, saying, don't let this happen. I do not want to miss something that I waited so many years for. Hang on a minute, there's one more detail I almost forgot. When we're looking for that ball in the grass, I noticed in the dream that the grass is brown and there are leaves falling in the grass, like it's fall. And that was all that I recall from that dream. A few days or weeks passed, and I had yet another dream. Still didn't understand the first dream, but I had another dream. And in this dream, I see myself and my brother standing in the kitchen, and I'm watching a little metal ball, like a BB. And if you've ever played one of those little kid games where you try to get the BB in the right spot, and everything, it's kind of like that. And this BB is falling and lands on like a little cone, and it's supposed to fall into this cone, right? And so the BB falls into the cone, and I'm like, okay, getting excited, like this is the one, and then it jumps out. But rather than fall down all the way to the bottom, it hovers like it's being held up by air, right? And this continues to happen repeatedly, and then it would jump back in there, and I get all excited again, like, oh, this is going to be the one, this is going to be the one. And then it would jump back out and hover, and it would jump back in there. I'm like, okay, here we go. The very last time, it lands in there and stays in there longer than all the other times. And I'm like, oh, here, this is definitely the one. And then it falls, and this time it falls all the way to the bottom. It's not being held up by air anymore. It falls all the way to the bottom. And in the dream, I see two numbers. And the two numbers, if you total them up, do not equal 40 million. Now, here's what the two numbers mean. Whenever you look at a lottery, like the ones we have here, the two major ones we have here, the Powerball and the Mega Millions, they have both the headline number, if you will, which is going to be like, for example, if the Powerball jackpot was 40 million, that would be one number. But then there's also the cash value. That's the amount that you would get if you went and took the cash option, right? So it has two numbers. Every lottery has these two numbers. Well, in this dream, that when the ball hits, there were two numbers, but neither number made any sense. They didn't. The Powerball doesn't do that. It doesn't fall that low. And so I was really confused by that. If I took the two numbers together and summed them up, they still wouldn't equal what the Powerball numbers are. So it didn't make any sense to me. And then my brother, in the dream, he turns and walks away like he's disgusted, he's frustrated. And I'm still standing there. That's the end of that dream. Now, several months went by and I didn't know what these dreams meant. But this thought kept coming to my mind again and again. And it started to bother me. And that was, why is it that God never says Powerball? Throughout the times that he's told me, the various different ways he's shown me the lottery, he's never used the word Powerball. And sometimes it was very obvious that he didn't. From the very beginning, he said, I'm going to give you the lottery. He didn't say, I'm going to give you the Powerball. He just said lottery. All right. Maybe he was going to reveal that later. So I went on to the next part. And I talked to my brother about it. And at that time, I was talking to my brother about it and telling him, it's starting to bother me that he's never said Powerball. Why is that? And he asked me, well, why do you think Powerball? I said, well, that's a good question. So I started looking back over the dreams that I had had and the words that I'd received from God. I said, well, there was a time when I was sitting on the couch and I saw a man on TV who they were interviewing him because he had just won the Powerball. And as I'm watching this, I hear God tell me in my spirit, that one, the biggest one. And so I assume that one that he just won is the one he's talking about, right? Makes sense. But I have assumed it. I don't know it. And my brother points that out. You never want to assume with God. That's the worst thing you can do. There's so many different ways that we've talked about that in the past. But anyway, that's what I had done. And he said, well, is that the only reason you think that? I said, well, no, there was another dream that I had before. And in this dream, I see two numbers. One that I can't make out, it's like it's blurry, but I know it's 2 digits. And then beside that, I see 3 digits. It's 484, and the last 4 is still changing. It's going to 5 to 6 to 7, myself. And in that, I take from it that that's Powerball, and I take from it that that is the Powerball because when I walk down to in where I live, whenever they show you the lottery figures on the board outside the store or whatever, there's always one lottery here and another one beside it. So you have, in this case, you would have 2 digits, which would be, according to the store board there, would show this number here is the Mega Millions and this number here is the Powerball. So I just took it that those two things are this thing, right? And to me that seemed pretty sound. But I got to thinking about it. Is it possible that I'm again assuming something here? So I did a quick Google search to see, are there any signs out there where the numbers are reversed, okay? And in the case that you might see a billboard or a sign outside a store that had the Powerball number here and the Mega Millions number here. And so I did a search for it, and sure enough, there are signs that are like that. And so I'm like, okay, it's possible that I'm just assuming that this is not actually that way. Because why didn't he label it? I mean, you take the time to show me a dream with these 2 digits that I can't quite make out, and another one here with 3 digits, and yet you're not labeling them. Why not? It wouldn't be that hard to do. You're God, you know. So I started asking myself, what is up with that? Why is it that he doesn't ever mention the name Powerball? And I started looking at the dream, or the word I heard where I saw the man being interviewed who had won the Powerball, and God had said that one, the biggest one. Is it possible there's another meaning for that? And at the time, at that spot in my life, it had been a couple of years since God originally told me, I'm going to give you the lottery. And at that point in time in my life, I wasn't even looking at the Powerball. In fact, where I lived in the state of Texas, the Powerball wasn't even there. I was looking at a local state lottery at that time. So is it possible that what he's saying is that one, meaning multi-state lottery, the biggest multi-state lottery? It's possible. Again, I don't know, but it was possible. One evening I was outside and I was still thinking on this, because it's a big decision. If I all of a sudden shift gears and say, I'm not supposed to be looking at the Powerball, I'm supposed to be looking at the Mega Millions, then it changes things, right? And I started to focus on the Mega Millions because when I went and looked it up online, their logo is a yellow ball. And that's something I had never known. I didn't never watch the Mega Millions. It had nothing to do with me, or that's what I thought. And so I started putting the pieces together and realizing it's possible that I've misunderstood what he had told me. We've talked about that before, how you can do that. God has infinite understanding. We don't. So he's revealing things to us, right? It's the glory of God to conceal a thing, and it's the honor of kings to search it out. So as I started considering this, I thought, this is a dangerous step for me. If I'm wrong and I shift gears, I can end up missing the thing I'm supposed to be getting because I shifted gears, So I was telling God, Lord, I really need to know which one this is. It's really important, and I can't afford to make a mistake here. So I was praying about it, and I thought, well, I could flip a coin. I could, I was like, no, I need something that I beyond a shadow of a doubt, I'm certain that this is what God's telling me, So I was standing out there, I was thinking, I was like, all right, God, I'm going to walk inside. When I go inside, I'm going to ask my wife. It was this evening, she had put my son down to bed. And so I'm going to ask my wife if she has seen anything from you, or heard anything from you. And if she says yes, and she's seen something, then okay, then it's the Mega Millions you're talking about. If in fact she hadn't, then okay, it's not. It's the Powerball, and I will know based on that. Okay, because God knows I'm going to ask this question before I ever ask it, and so He's already planned ahead of time. All right. So I come into the house, and I told my wife, "Hey, babe, have you seen or heard anything from God today?" And she's like, "What?" I said, "Have you seen or heard anything from God today?" And she said, "I don't know." And I'm like, well, I hadn't considered an I don't know option, so I started to walk out and go back into my office, and then I stopped. It dawned on me. If she had seen something, she'd know it. If she hadn't seen something, she'd definitely know that. But she said, "I don't know." There's something she's seen, and she doesn't know if it's from God or not, so she's holding back. So I turned back around, went back in and said, "Let me ask you one more time. Let me explain this to you." And so I asked her, "Have you seen anything?" She said, "Well, I closed my eyes for a moment and I just saw like fire, but it was like it was drawn fire. And that was it." And I'm like, okay, now I know. So I turned back around and went up. When you have drawing, right? Drawing. God does word plays like that all the time when He's doing things. So if you start to pick up on word plays like that God might be doing, that's interpretive and it's important. And again, the fire, right? So I knew at that point in time, it's the Mega Millions. So I called my brother. I said, "Bro, this is what I know. It's not the Powerball, it's the Mega Millions." He said, "Well, how do you know?" So I explained it to him. He said, "All right, cool." And that was that. Now I look back at that time over the dream that I had, and I started to understand it. Just the understanding, God gives it to you, right? That's where the understanding for dream interpretation or any of that stuff comes from. It's from God. And so when I looked at it, I just could see it. And so I saw that in the dream, the first dream, I was walking down the road at night, low visibility, and I stopped, turned around, and faced the other direction. At the moment that I do that, I'm looking in my past, and I see the fireball coming out of the sky. That's the thing that God has sent. A man can receive nothing unless it comes from heaven. That's what that is all about. And I put my hand up to catch it. I do not, to this day, know the interpretation of that, and then I pull my hand back. I don't know the interpretation of that, and then I turn back around, and I don't understand any of that, except for when I turn back around, I'm now seeing my future, okay? And so I run up ahead, right, and I look for this thing, and I'm looking, and I don't see it anywhere, and someone says, "Is this it?" And it's, again, I say someone because I didn't see who that person was. It was just this part of the arm, which in dream interpretation, usually when you don't see the person, it's the Holy Spirit revealing this thing to you. So he says, "Is this it?" Now you'll notice in actual real life, the time that I had discovered that it's the Mega Millions was also the moment that, or the time of year of fall. And so you have the dry grass and you have the fallen leaves. So that's what that was all about. However, I falsely concluded that because it was found in fall, that then I would win it in fall. And at that particular time of year, it was fall, and the Mega Millions was growing, growing, and growing. So all my family started getting excited about it. It's like, this is the thing that he talked about, this is the thing that he dreamed about, and they're all getting excited, right? And my brother especially was really on board. And so we go, yet again, watch this lottery and drawing, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I know not to buy a ticket until it gets to the biggest, right? It has to get way up there. And it starts moving that direction, and then before it gets there, it falls. And that means that somebody won it, right? So it falls back to where it was. And at that time, it, of course, was the Mega Millions, and it falls very low, right? Remember the other dream where I talked about you see the little BB falling in and then jumps out and holds and falls in, jumps out, and like this. And the last time it falls all the way to the ground, and it's two numbers that you can't make it, that when I take them and sum them together, they don't equal the Powerball. That's because it's the Mega Millions, right? So that's exactly what happened. And it fell to the ground, right? But I didn't understand that this is exactly what he had showed me in the dream, and I just walked through it. I just gone through this entire experience. And I thought, and again in the dream, I knew in that second dream, as it fell to the ground, I knew a feeling washed over me like it's over. And my brother walks away in the dream, right? And that's exactly what happened. As soon as it fell, I was like, I couldn't understand it. I had missed something somewhere. And it was really bothering me, but it bothered my brother even more. He left. He wanted basically nothing to do with anything I had to say about that. And it was a really interesting, hard time for me to go through. And I laid down to go to bed that night, and I was just laying there going, God, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying my best, and I seem to have missed this thing completely. And I don't understand it. And so I couldn't even go to bed. I was so upset, so distraught. I just got up, went out there, and God, you got to show this to me. And I understood it. I saw what had happened. I saw the full interpretation of this is what you had I had shown you in the dream, is what you're going to go through. And it's exactly how it worked, how it played out. And right now, my brother still has nothing to do with me, basically, as far as that goes. It's one of those things that you're going to deal with in the prophetic. You're going to have times when it's just you and God. The only person that's going to be there for you is just God. So you're going to have to stand there and do what He wants you to do, right? So anyway, that was how that played out. It was a very rough time, but that thankfully God showed me that night that this was how it's supposed to be. So anyway, I went and called my brother and said we need to talk. So I went and told him, look, this thing that I told you that God had shown me a dream actually came to pass identical to the dream. Only we missed it. We didn't understand what was being shown, right? I did especially. And so I told him this is what happened. We watched the thing and it fell, and then you walk away, and that's exactly how it played out. And he asked, he said, well, how come in that dream you're still standing there? You know it's over and you're still standing there. And I'm like, I don't know. And that was that for the dream. And so I went from that point forward, right? And that was about 2 years ago when all that stuff happened. And for about a year after that, I didn't hear anything from God. Not a word regarding the lottery, nothing. However, God was kind enough to me that as because I was in a situation where I'm like, I don't know, if I missed it completely, will I never ever see this thing come to pass, be fulfilled? Have I done something wrong? There's many different things, but I just kept standing there like the dream showed, right? And that's the important part, is I recognize in that dream, standing there is, I don't know why you're doing this to me, God. I don't know if I've done something wrong that I don't recognize that I'm doing, or something. But if I've done something, forgive me for it, of course, but I don't know what to do next. I just keep standing. And so that's what I did in the dream. I see myself just standing there. Well, I continue to do that in real life, right? I just stand there trusting God, knowing that He told me to go this way. I'll walk in this road because He told me to walk it. So that's where I was. Now, this experience showed me a couple of different things. Went in the first dream where I see my siblings riding children's toys. My brother walks away in the second dream. And this is reflective of their spiritual development, where they're at their maturity level. And you see that in Scripture where He talks about unless the seed falls to the ground and dies, it can't produce fruit, right? When Jesus was crucified, the disciples fell apart. They thought, well, this is what we thought he was the guy. Apparently not. That is something you're going to deal with. Everybody deals with it. Don't be too hard on people who do that to you. They don't know yet. They're not experienced enough to know that when God says something, he does not lie. Sometimes something turns dark and it looks like it's lost. It's not. If you stand, just stand. Believe in what God told you, okay? That's probably the best lesson I can give you from that experience. And like I said, for about a year, I didn't hear anything more in dreams or word regarding the lottery. However, God threw me a lifeline. And that was that shortly after the experience had come to pass, I got up one morning, went out in the front room, and my daughter said, "Dad, I had a dream last night." And she said that she had dreamt that I came out to where my wife sits in the front room and told her we won the lottery. I know that God was telling me this isn't over yet. Well, a couple weeks later, my wife wakes up one morning. She says, "I had a dream." And then in the dream, we won the lottery. You had gone through this experience where we were in a store, I was with you, and you went ahead and you bought a ticket. I thought it was too early, and you won, and then I go up and I put my arm through your arm and I stand beside you. And I knew that at that point in time, when it happens, then they will reconnect. They'll stand with me again at that point. So there were some more details about her dream, but anyway, it's her dream, so I'm not going to go into all of it. But anyway, the main thing being that whatever God told you, I don't care how dark it gets, you stand there. Just trust him and follow him, whatever he tells you. And you will, again, there will be parts where there will be new revelation about what he told you and things like that. That comes with everything that God does. Look in the scripture, you'll find stuff today that you didn't see 10 years ago, right? It's always revealing new things to you. And the same is true for your dreams and the words he's spoken to you, visions, etc., etc., okay? So God bless, take care. I just wanted to share that little piece with you guys. We'll talk more about this later, but right now I just wanted to share that piece with you.